Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Friday Night Smackdown, where The Rock says, Cody and Seth Rollins, your butt cheek smell, bring it at WrestleMania. Also, he acknowledged The Rock. We're going to talk about that whole dynamic because it's kind of awesome. Really love the segment, love the promo, and love the promo that he dropped. The 21-minute, 42-second promo he dropped, expanding on the lore leading into WrestleMania.
It did cover a very important story beat that hasn't been addressed on television. So for no other reason, it's an essential promo.
Absolutely. But first, we're going to talk about the thing that kind of everybody's been talking about since last night. We're talking about, of course, AEW Revolution, Sting's final match. We've got some behind-the-scenes details on that, plus a possible rumor killer on an AEW contract coming up soon. Will he be heading to WWE? Who are we talking about? Larson just did the pose. Maybe. You smelling your hand, or are you doing the pose? Yeah. What is it there?
Yeah. The Rock to say, Larson, your hand stinks.
So let's go ahead and dive into our first story about Steve Borden, a.k.a. the Sting.
So, of course, wrestling world is all still abuzz over Sting's retirement match. Last night, AEW Revolution, Fightful Select has some details about said match. Fightful's reporting that they were told that Tony Khan was, quote, adamant, that Sting win his final bout and finish his career as tag team champion. That his match, Sting's match, was slated to main event Revolution ever since the moment Sting announced, hey, I'm retiring. Fightful also added that the planned location of Revolution was moved from the Midwest to Greensboro, North Carolina, to, quote, better fit Sting's retirement. So let's take a break here. They announced last night that AEW Dynasty was going to be in St. Louis. April 21st. I wonder if St. Louis was originally supposed to host Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
St. Louis, Missouri. I consider that Midwest.
That's considered Midwest. Yeah, absolutely.
And instead gets Dynasty.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. So an interview with Sports Illustrated released to coincide with his retirement match. Sting confirmed Fightful's report that he chose the Young Bucks as his final opponents. That's what he had to say, quote, whose choice was it? It was mine. Matt and Nick, they deserve everything good that's coming at them. I didn't want to do this last hurrah with anyone else. First of all, I respect them for who they are behind the scenes. Matt and Nick are a couple of great guys, and they're great wrestlers. I watch how they conduct themselves, and I don't care what anybody says or rumors that might be out there. They are as top-notch as can possibly be. I don't see any flaws in these guys in the ring. Their ability to make everybody better, and not just themselves, is not something many do. They consider AEW as a whole and what's best for their opponents. I have so much respect for these guys. And then, so that, that brings us to what's next for Sting. He's retired. No more wrestling, in ring at least. Could we see him on AEW television? Will he have a role in some capacity within the company? He was asked about that during last night's Revolution Media Scrum. And this is how he answered. These transcripts come to you from Fightful. Quote, Tony has mentioned me staying on board in some form or fashion. We haven't really worked anything out there yet, but I'm sure we'll have some kind of conversation. And I'm saying maybe. We'll see what happens. I have no interest in being a manager or anything like that, or an agent. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what I can offer.
Oh, wait, what? I'm not sure what I can offer.
There's a wealth what Sting
can offer. Oh, my gosh. He's a very humble guy, isn't he? He's a very humble guy. He's a very humble guy.
Seems that way. AEW should open their own performance center. Sting runs the place.
Yeah. Now, when he says, I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff, he's talking about manager, agent, on screen, just being that. Yeah, that doesn't really fit the mystique of Sting. I don't want to see him be somebody's manager either. So, yeah, he should look. This was a perfect way to go out.
Yeah.
Unless there's an occasional, bit where he does one thing or the other. I might have to help my dog up here in a second.
Wasn't he a authority figure in TNA at one point?
Yeah, I don't want to see that in AEW.
Well, I think that's when we got the 100 Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, it is, and that's a great moment too. But we don't need to try to recreate that. He's had a wealth of great moments over his career. It's okay just to go away now. And that's not a slam on the guy. It's just, sometimes you want to protect, your legacy. And there's no reason. Your mystique. Yeah. There's no reason to keep that going. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what he has to offer behind the scenes, because I think he's talking about in front of the camera here.
Yeah. Agent would be behind the scenes.
Okay, if that's the case, when he said, I have no interest in being a manager or anything like that, or an agent, if he's talking about a behind the scenes, situation, he's got a wealth of stuff to offer. But, obviously, if the guy just wants to, go, do his thing, then he should be able to do that. But, obviously, he's got tons of knowledge to offer. My goodness gracious.
Oh, I know. You think, he'd be like a perfect guy to teach the next generation of wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone who came up in the 80s but never let the industry pass him by. Mm-hmm. Always finding a way to adapt and evolve to stay relevant.
Yeah.
That's a good person to pick the brain of,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. I'm going to help this one get up really quick.
Sure, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks. So, over the weekend, for some reason, I still don't know why, there is a rumor floating around on wrestling internet that Ricky Starks' AEW deal had expired and he was a free agent. Well, Fightful Select asked about Starks' contract status, and sources told them that, quote, that would be news to them if he were a free agent. Additionally, sources close to Starks confirmed to Fightful that his, quote, contract is not up. Tony Khan was asked about this rumor during the post-Revolution media scrum, and this was his answer. These transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. Tony said, quote, I don't know what the rumor is. Ricky is a part of AEW. Ricky is definitely still under contract in AEW. No, I haven't seen that. But obviously, we were doing Revolution today, so it came out very good, and Ricky was a big part of Sting's run. He was Sting's first match in AEW, teaming with Brian Cage against Darby at Revolution 3 years ago, and then to come back here 3 years later, of course, Ricky and Big Bill, I'm very grateful. I said that to Ricky too, both right after the match and since. I'm very grateful. Ricky and Big Bill, what great World Tag Team Champions. What a great match for Sting and Darby to win the World Tag Team Championships. Ricky was there at the beginning 3 years ago, and a huge part of the title change, which sets the stage for tonight. He's been here for some big moments. I'm very excited about having him here. He's definitely part of AEW and has been a big part of Sting's final run.
He's kind of conspicuously absent from stuff since they lost the tag team titles. And look, I'm not going to, I have no idea what his contract status is like. We also know that he's very close with Cody Rhodes, as is MJF for that matter. Not to say that he's going to be going. One thing I found it also kind of conspicuous in a way, but when I think it was Andrew Zarian talking about the building, the future pieces of AEW that they really want to focus on, I don't believe one of them that was mentioned was Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Which you would think would be part of that conversation if they really considered him, hey, but if he's on the verge of his contract expiring, maybe they're just not simply banking on him being around, and therefore you're not going to make any huge plans for him the way you would guys who are locked in, Hangman, Ospreay, Okada, Swerve, perhaps. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ricky Starks. I think no matter where he goes, he has not been used in the best way in AEW, but given now that they do seem to be turning the corner on focusing on the future of the company, maybe that's something that will change. If he does stick around, they put a greater emphasis on him because he's got a lot to offer. I would fully imagine that if they do this tag tournament, which they've already said they're going to, you would think Starks and Big Bill would be a part of that, right?
You would think so. You would think so. You would think so. You definitely think so.
Yeah.
And you think they lost tag titles, haven't had a match since. Give them an opportunity to reclaim tag titles. And if they don't, there's potentially a story there. So, have them in the tournament, by all means.
Absolutely.
Anyways, you want to talk about SmackDown?
Let's talk about SmackDown. You see that video? People were talking about Lex Luger. Because Paul Heyman, this was in the notes, and then we took it out. But we can talk about it really quick. The Wise Man.
AP, announced that or reported today that Paul Heyman going in the Hall of Fame. I was going to talk about it as it relates to SmackDown. That's why I just kind of took it out.
Oh, okay.
Of course, WrestleMania and therefore Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Philadelphia. Paul's kind of connected to Philadelphia. So it makes sense for him to go, what? Why are you asking? What, you look all confused
I'm just
for?
messing around. Come
on. So it makes sense, given all that
you got to smell when you put the hand in your face.
Like that.
What did I touch?
Anyways, yeah, Heyman, Hall of Famer, well deserved. Arguably one of the best managers to ever be involved in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Manager / advocate. Yeah, and that is even taken into account building up ECW. And having that kind of to a degree and for a small amount of time really kind of capturing the zeitgeist of pro wrestling so much that a lot of what WWE did during the Attitude Era very much influenced by what was going on ECW.
WCW and WWE both ripped him off. WWE was bankrolling him for a while, the money pit known as ECW. I owed a lot of people a lot of money, but I was able to sucker them into working for me anyways. That's great. He is one of the best ever, probably best manager of all time. And innovative guy. He took Eastern Championship Wrestling, if you ever watch, early Eastern Championship Wrestling, it's kind of dog shit. And then when Heyman came around, he made it pretty cool. So, he revolutionized Extreme Wrestling in daytime conditions. Yeah. And yeah, good stuff. Whenever people showed up in ECW, he instantly made them a lot more interesting, especially at the time when WWF and WCW weren't really doing interesting stuff. He got them there, and then he paid for it by having his shit ripped off by them. Yeah. Do you think he's going to be the centerpiece, like the headliner, or do you think they're going to? And who else? We've talked about other potential names, but it's not like there are a lot of really obvious, guys and gals who aren't in the Hall of Fame
Perhaps
already.
The most obvious would be Dave Bautista. He was supposed to go in 2020, and then when pandemic happened, he was like, "No, I'll wait." I was kind of curious if it was going to happen last year because they were in LA, and I know he's huge in Hollywood these days. But he's seemingly in no rush to get that Hall of Fame induction. It's just a matter of when. It doesn't really seem like it's an if. It's just a matter of when at this point, you would think. Yeah. For Dave. But, I don't think The Rock's in the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah. I wonder if they would save The Rock for... Because, there is... I don't know if they're going to want to go because they're in Philly. Do you want to go with, like, one big centerpiece name? Or do you keep it like... some of the people that are like Brian Pillman, for example. Yeah. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He had, nobody better sort of, I don't know. I know he wasn't in ECW for a long time, but he was in ECW and he has a very ECW feel to him. Mm-hmm. So you could put him in. You could put Chyna as a solo act, especially, with Rhea Ripley having paid homage to her earlier. I forget it was this year or last year, but she did that at one point. So like Chyna as a solo act. Lex Luger, he was at the thing last night, but he wasn't on camera as far as I know.
What about Shane Douglas, Steve?
The franchise always could be, it's like, hey, Batista or Shane Douglas, who had a bigger career, who is a bigger deal, so easily you could put Shane Douglas as your headliner. Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, he ran afoul of the Click evidently, and Triple H, he's Click for life, man. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh yeah, Bray Wyatt. Bray, that might be your headliner this year. I could see that.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
I could definitely see that too. Definitely. Before we talk SmackDown, I noticed we got some super chats over here on the YouTube. We got Ferlicious here, member for 4 months. Mm-hmm. This is 4 months in the YouTube realm. That Friendo Club setup is prime.
Man, yeah, we'll talk about the Friendo Club setup here in a second. Thank you for the super chat.
We will. High Plains Drifter says, with the AEW tag titles vacant, who do you think will win the eventual tournament? Why it shouldn't be FTR? It's because they're Blackpool obvious. Combat Club, it's FTR, or it's Young Bucks. One of those three teams will probably win it.
Let's go. What about like a sleeper name, like a Private Party?
Yeah, that's a good.
House of Black. Have they had the proper tag titles before?
No, they've only had the trios built.
They've had the trios title. We're trios.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of feels it's got to be FTR or Blackpool Combat Club. I feel like it might be Blackpool Combat Club.
Could be. I don't think you discount the idea of the Young Bucks win it either.
Yeah, I can see the Young Bucks. Yeah.
Mickey G with super chat says, let's say at WrestleMania both Rhea and Io retained, which is more likely? Jade beats Io or Rhea after Mania. Well, considering we saw on SmackDown, Jade kind of step up to Damage Control.
Damage Control.
The most obvious path would be Jade and Io.
Be very interesting to see how that all plays out with Jade Cargill. Is she going to make it to Mania, or is there going to be, is that going to be like a, because Braun Breaker's on SmackDown. Jade Cargill, I don't know. She's roaming around backstage at SmackDown, so maybe that's an indication that she's going to be there.
Could be.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still like 50-50 on whether or not, like you would think, we could just talk about this really quick because we're launching to do our SmackDown.
Oh, sorry. I
recap.
thought another name for the tag team tournament that should win. It should be Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. They're best friends now.
Oh, boom. There. Absolutely. Brian, I just wanted to tell you, all I wanted was respect. No offense to Steven Larson. I don't care about that respect. I care about the boys. And then he leaves, and Danielson's like, golly, he was just sitting there talking, but the whole time he was beefing. He was like crop dust in this trainer's room.
Yep.
I couldn't hear what he said through the fog of his fart.
Exactly.
It's disgusting.
He was there. Danielson was just there.
Maybe lay off that pie. Maybe don't mix the pie with the greens. You
get
know?
the tickle in the nose when it's really smelly. You know what I mean?
I've been eating better lately, but I can't resist the pie, so I had a nice spinach shake and pie. Disagreed with my guts,
but worth it on the taste buds, huh?
But worth it. Worth every taste. Worth every taste. Anyways, so yeah, SmackDown. The Rock says another great shirt. And not only did he accuse, and he said this factually, so who am I to disagree? He said Phoenix is filled with crack. Well,
he did his research. He said meth and cocaine use is highest in Phoenix, Arizona.
It's the tops there in Phoenix, Arizona. But earlier on Friday, he had dropped a 21-minute long promo where he talked about, of course, he talked about a variety of topics. Number one, he says wrestling is cool again. The excitement is back thanks to The Rock. He was much more focused on, number one, he seems to be very excited that he owns it all, as he says. Yeah. I own everything related to The Rock.
That means he's the boss now.
That means he's the boss. Not only does he own everything, including, with The Rock, but that makes him the boss.
It's like that in conjunction with being a board member that makes him boss.
Right, exactly. And so we got a little bit of corporate Rock there, and willing to flex his corporate muscle. Fills in some storyline gaps, because he says it's great to be back. The excitement is back. However, this Cody stuff is sort of putting a bit of a stain on it. What happened last year, Cody? You shit the bed. Now you come back, and we had this phone call after you win the Rumble. I say, The Rock says, Cody, do what's best for the business. We have this opportunity. Rock versus Roman Reigns, you can finish your story at another time. But you know that The Rock versus Roman Reigns is the biggest WrestleMania of all time. He claims that Cody reluctantly, even though it stings, he said, I agree with you, Rock. For my father, for your father, for our families, for the business, I step aside. Then we get to Las Vegas, the press event. He shows footage of meeting up with Cody Rhodes backstage. They hug. Everything's cool. At no point did Cody pull him aside and say, I'm having second thoughts now. So they go out there. Cody says, bullshit, I'm getting my match. And then he crosses the line, mentions my grandfather, Roman's grandfather, talk shit about my family. Then I slap you.
Yep.
And then he mentions prior to that, he mentions the Smackdown moment. Says what he said to him. You hugged The Rock. And I said, let's do this for our dads, for Dusty, for the Soul Man. Let's make this a moment. And then as you leave the ring, you look back at The Rock and you give him not the look of, let's do this. You gave me a look like I ran over your goofy ass dog. Wow, that's crossing the line in my estimation, Larson. And so he mentions the press event. And then in the end, he also takes some time to talk about the walking clown emoji, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Says, stay out of our business. Otherwise, read between the lines because The Rock is blurring him. Corporate Rock is going to make sure you lose that title.
Yep.
Circles back around to Cody Rhodes, and he punctuates it by saying, fuck your story.
It's a good summation because it was long. It was very long. 20 minutes.
I'll be honest. I am incredibly impressed with myself because I kind of feel like I covered all the bases there.
You did in a much more succinct manner than Dwayne did.
Well, I try.
Dwayne, that's part of his promo delivery, though, his tendency to ask questions and repeat himself, and ask questions to himself and repeat himself. He did that on Smackdown too.
Yeah,
That's just how he delivers promos, and it's going to be lengthy. But yeah, it was much needed that those story beats, I feel like, were addressed.
Do you think they were satisfactorily addressed?
I mean, I thought it would be better if they'd been addressed on TV as opposed to a Twitter promo. But that being said, at least they were addressed. And, is it convincing to say The Rock calls up Cody, hey, step aside so we can have the greatest WrestleMania and greatest Mania main event of all time? It's an explanation.
I'm going to throw this out there. This out there because he said something that's kind of interesting, and to a degree, I agree. I looked at his just on Twitter. I don't know what it is on Instagram. I could probably look that up real quick.
Yeah,
6.2 million views on Twitter for that promo. Are we at a point now where what happens on TV? And we've talked about this to a degree when it comes to AEW. And I think AEW gets excessive sometimes. But in this situation, given that The Rock's social media reach is so vast, you and I sort of could read between the lines. You could put the pieces together with where it came from, with what they were doing on TV. This filling in the gaps. I don't know that it's necessary that we see it on TV, given that his reach is so large.
I understand that part, but it's something about it happening on TV makes it feel definitively like it's canon. You know what I mean? It's something all right, this moment happens on TV, it's enshrined within the canon of this story. I know The Rock's taken part of this, but it feels slightly more unofficial when someone grabs a phone and drops a promo as opposed to making a point on TV. And I think that's why, not so much the reach, because you can always clip that promo and The Rock can put it on all his socials and WWE can put it on all their socials and it'll amass tens of millions of views that way too. But something about having it on TV just makes it feel more official in terms of, all right, this is story beat for this story. And that's why I felt like it needed to be on TV.
Regardless, I think we kind of disagree a little bit on that. But I think one thing that you and I can both agree on when it comes to, we had a question or it was like a hot take over at the Friendo Club channel, which, by the way, our star ratings for Revolution, not a shock. They're up right now. Freshest.
It was like 13, 14 hours after the show ended.
Somebody had a hot take. Said they felt The Rock was checked out on this story. We both laughed that off.
Nothing checked out.
This promo, the thing that I liked about this is that it was just it's further solidified how invested The Rock is in this. He's taking points that jabronis like you and me. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention there was a clip of Dave LaGreca from Busted Open.
Yeah.
On there, talking shit about, The Rock's character. And The Rock threw shade at podcasts and shows like that. When jabronis like you and I say, there are some story beats missing here, he's addressing at least he's taken the time in a 21 minute long promo that he just set his phone up. And then, he gave it to his guys to add footage, to add subtitles, to produce it up a little bit. But this was like a grainy cell phone video.
Yeah.
Didn't even do it on a DSLR.
No, cell phone mic. Yeah.
Cell phone mic. And he's out there. And there's excitement in what he's doing, man.
Absolutely.
He is into this story, and maybe they had to pivot, and he's like, okay, well, people are addressing these, plot holes. I'm going to plug them in, And we're not going to do it on TV, but I'm going to do it for those jabronis out there who care about that stuff. And that's what I like about this, is that we can quibble about like, okay, should they have addressed this on TV? Maybe. But The Rock is into this shit.
Yes.
So much so that he just gave us 21 minutes of him talking about it and addressing all the controversies. And I appreciate that about it.
Oh, I do too. And whether it was something he just like, all right, we need to fill these holes, so I'm gonna do it on my own accord, or something that's coordinated, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm happy it was done, regardless if it was done on TV or not.
He's picking up that ball and he's really running with it, man. And I really appreciate that.
Yes, same here. Before we talk about SmackDown, Steve, let's talk about Friendo Club setup. Tell me more about the Friendo Club setup, please.
So you're interested in the Friendo Club setup. I love to hear it, Larson.
Absolutely.
I love to hear it because it's a really great deal. Today, later on, the latest episode of Friendo Cast, which is where you and we drop the wrestling for a second and we become real human beings. Human. And we just talk about all these different things in our lives, different topics that the Friendos might be interested in. Sometimes it's personal stuff. Sometimes it's, pop culture stuff, not wrestling, called Friendo Cast. It's our bonus episode series that we do every single week. New one going up today. It's episode 10. So we got a whole backlog now of 10 episodes. 10.
Oh, then we skip the number. Is it actually 9?
That is true. It's actually 9. At some point, we should probably readjust. Or we'll just do the missing episode 5. And so you get bonus episodes, access to the question threads. We're going to read some questions later on in this episode, and we get those exclusively from the Friendo Club setup members. And you also get access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge, of course. Muted Mayday, the new Big Blue Predictions champion, thanks to his victory at Week of Champions, heading now into WrestleMania.
And here's the thing. It was Muted Mayday's first try. First time
done.
Submitting predictions. Bang, won.
Done. Like that.
That could be
impressive. Professional. So, how do you get all that right there that I just mentioned? It's
Tell
easy.
Me how.
You get the Friendo Club setup, and there's one of 2 ways you can get it for your convenience. YouTube.com/Steven Larson. Click join. Done. $5 a month. Help support us, and you get all that stuff. Boom. Number 2, go to patreon.com/Steven Larson. Click on Friendo Club setup. $5 a month. Same as the YouTube membership. Help support us, and you get access to the bonus episodes, get access to the question threads, and you can participate in the WrestleMania Big Blue Predictions Challenge. This is the biggest one of them all.
Oh, yes.
Because it's WrestleMania, so we're going to do something special for it. I've got some ideas, going to run them past you off camera. Then we'll come back, tell you guys what they are. But yeah, 2 ways to do it. Patreon.com/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. But Larson, I'm interested in knowing about our YouTube channel subscription goals here. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. We're trying to get a very specific number for our YouTube channel. That's Steven Larson's Going in Raw WWE and AEW podcast. That number is 201,102 subscribers.
It's palindrome.
It's palindrome. We love our palindrome numbers. So right now we're at 200,723. So we're about 329 off, I think, if my math is right. No, more than that. A little under 400. I can't do math right now. Long day yesterday. A little under 400 before we get to our goal. Every sub counts. So if you're watching right now, we got 540 people watching live right now. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that notify bell so you know our new content is up. And while you're pressing buttons, there's one over here. It looks like a thumbs up. That's the like button. Please hit that. We like the validation of being liked. We like the validation of our content being liked. We want to be liked. We like to be liked.
Who doesn't?
We like that our content is liked.
Yeah.
So please hit that like button.
Absolutely. We'd greatly
and see if we can get to 250 by the end of the show. That would be awesome.
That'd be amazing. And I won't have to yell at anybody. I don't like yelling at people. I don't like being the bad guy.
I'll say this, though. It's been a while since you were wagging your finger at somebody, so maybe we're due for that.
Oh, yeah. Maybe people need to be reminded to hit that like button, because if you don't, you're going to get the old finger wag. Right now, we're at 555 people watching live. We're only at 113 likes. That's unacceptable. That makes me feel bad.
Oh.
And I don't like feeling bad. I like to feel good.
Make Steve feel bad. Steve wants to feel good, and trust me, he's happier when he feels good as opposed to bad.
Quite happy, just like the people of Glendale, Arizona, because they got the Bloodline to kick off Smackdown.
They got to witness greatness.
They did get to witness greatness, even through their haze of cocaine and methamphetamine use. Yeah. So Roman asked for the mic. In this case, it started off.
Here, we don't need to go through this because, like, The Rock repeats himself a lot, so we have to go through this like verbatim per se.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the overarching thing, what we think about it, or you just want to dive right into it and we can talk about stuff as it happened?
Let's dive into it and talk about stuff as it happens. So it kicks off with the Bloodline minus The Rock. Roman asks for the mic. Roman's in kind of a surly mood tonight.
Yeah, he is.
So he obviously, as he always does, asks Glendale, Arizona to acknowledge him. The crowd, doesn't really give him what he's looking for, though. And he says, it used to be louder. I know it's not me. It must be you. Let's try it again. Acknowledge me. Crowd starts chanting for Cody. Roman says, okay, man, I'm going to try this one last time. If you don't get on my page, I've fulfilled my obligation and I'm leaving. Tries it again. Instead, the crowd chants for Cody more. Roman says, we're done here. Fire up the jet. This appearance is done. You're welcome. We're done. He hands the mic to Paul Heyman. And Paul, he was not happy about having to drop this on the tribal chief. He says, can't leave yet. He's coming out. Just give me one more moment. And he introduces The Rock. Roman is not happy about having to wait for The Rock. There's a big problem with The Rock that Roman Reigns has, which we're going to find out about a little bit later. What was going through your head when you saw Roman Reigns being sort of at his limit with waiting for The Rock?
Oh, it's his insecurity. It's his insecurity coming to the fore. He sees and hears the reactions The Rock gets, and he feels like he's being overshadowed by The Rock. Roman's character is just rooted in deep insecurity. And you see him react to Heyman saying, oh, The Rock's got to come out. You see the shots of him reacting while The Rock is talking. And he's got that crowd in the palm of his hand, whether it's they're cheering for him or booing him.
Yeah.
He insults the city of Phoenix by saying it's number one in cocaine and meth use, and he gets a pop for that. The fans cheer.
Mm-hmm.
And Roman's just stewing, and he's upset. And so at the very end, I guess we can talk about this briefly now. We can go through the Rock's promos in kind of broad strokes. The Rock's about to do you smell what the Bloodline's cooking? Roman stops him and says, I'll do anything for my family, but I need you to do this for me. Acknowledge me. He needs that validation, just like we need likes for our videos.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He needs The Rock to say, Roman, you're number one.
Yeah.
You're top of the mountain. You are the head of the table. And anything less than that is unacceptable for Roman.
Yeah, it is. I really, really loved the segment. My one quibble is, of course, Fox going overboard.
Oh, that too.
Fox going overboard with, I understand there's chance for die, Rocky, die. That's a throwback. The word die really, in the proper context, it shouldn't be a taboo word. The crowd back 30 years ago used to chant that. Now they were using it on The Rock because The Rock is a 30-year-old throwback now. And so to black out the screen, and then there was another, sign of some sort. I forget what that one said. But it interrupted the flow of the promo. Because I really, really enjoyed the entire segment. The Rock getting to tell Phoenix that they set a record for cocaine and meth use was hilarious. Laying down the challenge for Seth and Cody Rhodes for the tag match, I thought was really good. And, obviously that's what they were setting up. And I'm glad to see it because we get to see The Rock in action. By the way, have you noticed since when he gave the promo, there was like a footage of him dropping the promo in the promo that he dropped, the 21-minute one.
Yeah.
He is clearly getting into ring shape. Like his body looks different than it did then. It's less just freaking massive,
Yeah. The interesting thing about the tag match is not exactly the stipulation that I kind of thought it might be, where it was, Cody, your participation in the main event is dependent on you winning this tag match. Instead, if Cody and Seth win, then Bloodline's barred from ringside. No Jimmy.
Let's talk
no Solo.
about that now, and then we'll get back to the Roman stuff because we haven't really, gone into full depth about that.
Yeah.
The tag match challenge.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, The Rock's promo, for the most part, was all prefaced to this. He talks about wrestling being cool again. Every place is sold out. He talks his trash about Phoenix. But it's the idea that they're going to have this tag match. He says, Cody, you challenge me. Do I accept your challenge? No. He has a counter challenge. Cody, walking clown emoji, Seth Rollins.
He used that over and over again, and I love that he loves that so much.
Yeah. Versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. If Cody and Seth win, Bloodline banned from ringside for the main event of night 2. If The Rock and Roman win, then it's a Bloodline rules match. Anything goes.
Yeah.
And he started describing what that could be. It could be Solo singing the national anthem, all sorts of stuff.
Solo was trying... This was probably the most Solo has ever had to work not to crack.
I know.
Because Rock noticed it, and he noticed the reaction from the crowd, and Solo looked like he was constipated.
Yeah.
He was pursing his lips.
He had to look at his thumb.
He had to look at his thumb. It looked like there were tears welling up because he wanted to laugh so much at Rock saying, Solo, you're going to be singing, you could be singing the national anthem. And then he noticed the reaction was like, oh yeah, no, listen, shut up everybody. Solo singing the national anthem. We all want to see that.
So he's got a hell of a voice. Yeah.
He's got a hell of a voice. Exactly. That was awesome.
That was really good.
Yeah. And so he points out what a Bloodline rules match is. Clearly that's what's going to happen, which necessitates Cody probably end up getting pinned night 1 in the tag match because the deck has to get stacked against him.
Exactly.
Which again, man, let me ask you this really quick because I know we're kind of all over the map right now, but we're rolling with it.
This segment was all over the map.
It was. Any more from you about this entire thing to plan, or was there a pivot along the way?
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's no way of telling.
It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot.
If it's a pivot, they've done a good job of especially after The Rock's promo, motivating the pivot, explaining the pivot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what was necessary if there was a pivot. Like, why did Cody 1 week be like, yeah, cool, Rock, you can have this, and then 6 days later, referring to the whole thing as bullshit. We needed an explanation as far as why that was the case and what led to Cody to make the initial decision to step aside. We've got that now. It's an explanation, subjective, whether that's satisfying to people or not. But now we got, we still get The Rock in the ring at WrestleMania this year. It's in a tag match. It might arguably be better. So it's not like he and Roman have to carry a 30-minute main event on night 2. The Rock can do, limited action in the tag match. Maybe he'll hit Cody with a rock bottom, get the pin. And then he has a whole other year to get into shape, to prime ring shape for he and Roman to have their match probably at WrestleMania 41.
Yeah.
And so it might actually work out better in a lot of respects with the way they're going now. And I feel like the way they're going now, the story is going to have so much more depth to it by the time we finally get to Rock and Roman, rather than just I'm the Rock. Rock says I'm head of the table. Roman says, no, you're not. I am. That's kind of seemed like where they were going with this. And now it's much more personal, or seems like it will be so much more personal by the time we get to that match. So it seems like a situation, whether they had to pivot or this was a plan, it's going to add so much more richness to the story doing it this way as opposed to just having the match this year.
It's nice that, because I do think that there is a pivot, but the thing that I like about it is that, and it's kind of piggybacking off what you said, there are fresh, relatively young, experienced minds behind the scenes, whether it's, Triple H and his people, The Rock and Gewurz and their people, that when they see an opportunity, they seize on it to make it all better, to enhance it, to improve what the original plan was. The Rock finding out, oh, I can go bad guy. And that opens up a lot of fun situations here. We have an opportunity to, okay, you guys really put your voices up and really want Cody in this role, then let's really make him in this role. Let's really stack the deck against him. So I think it probably, from my point of view, I think it was a pivot, but it was just, hey, in wrestling, you got to roll with the crowd reactions. Now let's see what we can get out of this. And we've gotten, like you said, something really, really good and something maybe more compelling than we would have had in the first place.
I think so. So anyways, The Rock culminates his promo by saying, Cody, Seth, next week in Dallas, give us your answer. Punks. Yeah. And he starts to say, if you smell what the bloodline is cooking. But Roman interrupts and puts his hand on his arm so he can't finish.
Ooh. And
he gets the mic. Like one thing both Rock and Roman do really well is take their time with segments.
They milk those moments.
So you feel the gravity, the enormity of the moment when Roman interrupts.
Yeah.
He keeps his hand there for a while, and The Rock really slow to react.
Mm-hmm.
So Roman gets a mic from Heyman and says, I need something from you. I'll do anything for my family, but I need this one thing. Acknowledge me.
And he's been dying to say this. He has been dying to get this from The Rock and to understand, where are you coming from?
Yes.
I'm the head of the table here, and I need your acknowledgement. And he couldn't hold it back any longer.
Could not. And so the Rock, again, really took his time. He straightens up, slowly takes off his sunglasses, and you could see him do the calculus.
The crowd gasps.
I know. So, and then you see The Rock processing it in his head. Is this something I need to do? Is this something I should do? Regardless of The Rock's motivations, whether his motivations are true, he wants to help his family. He wants this with his family to be the largest, greatest WrestleMania ever, or is he a sleeper agent? Is he there ultimately to help Cody defeat Roman and kind of tearing apart the bloodline from the inside? Regardless of what Rock's role is in all this, you saw him calculating his options right there while looking at Roman. It wasn't an immediate thing. And he walked into the idea of doing it with hesitation. And he was very deliberate about how he delivered it. He says, Roman, my family, I acknowledge you as my tribal chief. And so they shake hands, they nod at each other, and they hug. And the crowd's chanting, you sold out at The Rock.
Yeah.
And so The Rock turns his attention to the crowd and says, let The Rock explain something to you idiots. This is family, and we will do anything for family. Now go home and smoke some more crack. If you smell, but then he stops.
Yeah.
And he hands the mic to Roman.
Yeah.
And Roman, man, he just feels like $1 million right there.
Happy to oblige. Overwhelmingly happy.
Oh, yeah. He's top of the world right now. He says,
yeah.
So Roman finishes what the bloodline is cooking. So they all raise up their ones. And The Rock starts with the L.
Mm-hmm.
And then Heyman kind of notices it.
He does, yeah.
And then so The Rock, tucks his thumb in and does the one.
That's good stuff.
It is.
I loved this segment, and it was like 40 minutes long.
It was 40 minutes, yeah. They had to cut a bunch of time from like Naomi and Tiffany Stratton's match, I know.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the number one. This opens up so many more possibilities now for Roman Reigns, who up until this moment was kind of in the background, and that's what informed why he was so surly.
Yep.
In this segment, because he's been background up until now, and then he's like, no, you need to acknowledge me.
Yep.
Everybody sees this or so many people, I should say, across the timeline, social media, etc., sees the acknowledgement from The Rock as proof positive that he is going to turn on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I hope to God he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't in that main event on night 2. Cody's got plenty of people that can help back his play. There's a lot of different things that can happen here, though. Rock could totally turn on Roman night 2. What do you see as more likely, that happening or Cody's Avengers, so to speak, being able to counter the bloodline rules? Because if the bloodline rules means the bloodline can get involved, no DQ means anybody can get involved, including Seth Rollins, including Jey Uso,
Sami Zayn,
Kevin Owens. Any number of people can get involved.
Yeah, I mean, and who's to say they don't all get involved and then The Rock, if they want to go that route, strikes the definitive blow against Roman to lead to Cody winning, or maybe The Rock turns on Roman after he loses because he's lost, or maybe it's something more subtle The Rock does that costs Roman to lose. I don't know. There is a lot of avenues they can go down to lead to Cody winning. And it seems like a lot of them could be intriguing in various respects, and it can lead to the match of Mania 41 between Rock and Roman. But it's why the story's going well so far, because you don't know exactly, the outcome. You don't know how we're getting there though, and you don't know what follows.
They can rope so many people into that. I think this is going to be a wonderful, overbooked mess of a finish that's going to have this crowd absolutely going crazy. Because if you think about it, Rock mentions the walking clown emoji, Seth Rollins, and threatening Seth Rollins with what clearly could probably happen. We've already seen the Bloodline help Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Drew McIntyre being worried about, with the degree of not exactly being genuine, worried about the Bloodline getting involved in his match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, pleading to Seth Rollins stay out of their business because they're going to interfere, tainting my victory. That being said, Drew McIntyre could easily be the beneficiary of Bloodline interference at WrestleMania, kind of tangentially roping him into the Bloodline as their World Heavyweight Champion on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how deep that could go, but that's something that could be so much fun.
Well, it could be a situation if Drew wins via Bloodline assistance, then the Bloodline could be like, all right, we helped you. You owe us a debt now.
Night 2.
We're here to collect. I know.
Yeah. Because like Drew McIntyre gets roped into this Night 2. That could be
half
insane.
The roster out there. It's going to be like Mankind beating The Rock on Raw.
That's what it should be. Because that was the crowd you've never heard, especially when the glass breaks.
Oh, yeah.
When that happens. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Electric, if you will. Electric. I don't know why you smell the hand. He doesn't even bring the hand all the way to his face.
He doesn't, but it's funnier to smell it.
Yeah. So after that, we got Theory and Waller backstage. They're on a phone watching Logan Paul knocking out Randy Orton at Elimination Chamber. So LA Knight walks by. He's looking for AJ. He's got a chair with him. They don't know where he's at. He leaves. So then Orton pops in the background, starts watching over their shoulders. And he goes, oh, that's hilarious. Do it again. He says, there's the RKO on Drew. I'm excited. My back hurts a little bit. Oh, there's Logan. Knocks me clean out with the brass knuckles. That's hilarious. Guys, I've never seen anything as funny as that. Actually, I have a great idea. I'm going to top that. I'm going to do something hilarious tonight. How about one of you guys go into the ring tonight against me? I'm going to try rip your head off. It's going to be so funny. In fact, I'm in such a good mood. You guys get to pick who gets the holy hell beaten out of them later tonight. And Waller's like, how about Austin Theory? And Orton goes, see you later. And Theory's like, why are you throwing me under the bus?
Yeah.
First it was Australia, now this. So we're getting Austin Theory face turn.
Austin Theory is getting so much out of this. And and even when you see what happens, with the with all the mess with Orton and Kevin Owens later on in the episode, him selling the living shit out of both the stunner and the RKO. Wait, did he get RKO? I forget. Well, I know for sure the stunner.
Oh, the stunner was you took an RKO. Yeah, he lost because of the RKO.
Okay, yeah. And God, I want so bad for Austin Theory to succeed, and I feel like he's put in the time. They've really given him some dog shit, but he's finally getting something good with this Waller stuff. And I want it to pay off big for the guy. So I hope they really explore as much as they can with this, because it's just going to make the payoff all the better and make both Waller and Theory a bigger deal.
Exactly. Then we had Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi. Apparently this match was truncated quite a bit due to the Bloodline segment going over.
Yeah.
Like Naomi didn't get an entrance on TV. Mm-hmm. And this was a pretty quick match. Tiffany Stratton gets the win here. She gouges Naomi in the eyes, rams her into the ring post, and follows with a moonsault to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have gotten the entire thing. I understand you have The Rock and Roman out there for 40 minutes. Hard to, that's ratings right there. But yeah, Tiffany Stratton still getting these awesome responses. Naomi, I hope eventually they come up with something for her.
Same.
But we'll see if that's the case. After that, we had Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, versus Dakota Kai and Bayley. We had wondered if Dakota Kai would turn at Mania or before Mania. Did she jump the gun here and is going to give Bayley plenty of time to come up with a counter, or to expect?
Yes. You should have waited. You gotta reveal the subterfuge at WrestleMania. You take all this time, you build the trust with Bayley, and then you cost her the match at WrestleMania. That's the real heartbreak right there. Where she's there, she could win that title. Only to get swerved by Dakota Kai and have her cost her the match. Yes, I think Damage Control should have waited.
This sort of brings Bayley up to like a 70-30 to win this title.
Absolutely.
Because you have the entirety of Damage Control now. The stakes are, the deck is completely stacked against her. And so I kind of feel like she has to win at WrestleMania now.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody else can get roped in to help Bayley, or is this going to be a woman?
We saw Jade Cargill step up to Damage Control backstage, so that's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in fact, it was the next segment after. So the match starts. Bayley's more or less getting double teamed by Asuka and Kairi. She eventually looks for a hot tag to Dakota. Dakota just jumps off the apron. Bayley goes after her, and she's just overwhelmed by Damage Control. It culminates in Io hitting a couple of running knees to her back. And Bayley sold the moment really well, and so did Dakota.
She did. Yeah, they both did. Yeah. Dakota wouldn't even look at her.
Nope.
Nope.
So we're backstage, Damage Control. They're happy. They're walking backstage. LA Knight passes by them. But then Damage Control stops when Jade Cargill's there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick Aldis pretty quickly steps between them all. And it's like, all right, Jade, I need to talk to you. Damage Control. Keep going.
Yeah.
So, maybe Jade will volunteer to be a bit of an equalizer for Bayley at WrestleMania to help in the event of Damage Control interference. It's possible.
Yeah. Give me another overbooked finish. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Every match should have just a wildly overbooked finish.
Yeah.
After that, speaking of a match that didn't need an overbooked finish, Braun Breaker versus Ion Quinn lasted all of 6 seconds.
Yep.
I did not even know this was. I turned away for a second because Ion Quinn didn't get an entrance.
Yeah.
And then I see him laying there on the mat, and the match is over, and I was like, "Who's that? Is that Dante Chen again?" Zion Quinn shaved. He's a babyface now. He's not a good guy, but he's clean shaven.
His hair's shorter now too, isn't it?
Yeah, he looked different.
Yeah, he did look a little different.
You could barely tell who it was.
He had a lower third though, so I knew it was Zion Quinn.
I missed the lower third. All I saw was him on the mat. I was like, "Oh shit!" I could rewind that, but I'm not going to. So yeah, Zion Quinn took the loss there. He tweeted out something like, "This sucks." It was like, I'm gonna try again or something like that. But probably not a good idea to try again.
30 seconds, I know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't try again against Braun Breaker. Try again against somebody else, maybe.
Yes. Then we had a video package highlighting the Carlito versus
Santos Escobar
match, which was next. So Carlito versus
Santos Escobar
in a street fight. Saw the return of Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
So, this was overbooked to a degree. You had Garza and Creo out there. You had Joaquin Wild Cruz Del Toro. They're going at it. Eventually, Rey walks out on some crutches. And then Garza and Creo meet him out on the ramp. And then Rey takes one of his crutches and just starts wrecking him with the crutch. Yeah. Rey gets in the ring. Santos takes a swing. Rey ducks. Carlito, who'd gotten an apple out from under the ring earlier, spits apple in the face of Santos. Why, Steve?
Because he spit in the face of anybody who don't want to be cool.
Thank you. And then Rey hits Santos with a 619. Then Carlito puts him through the table to get the win. So it looks like we're getting Rey versus Santos at WrestleMania.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good stuff. After that, we had Nick Aldis talking to New Catch Republic backstage. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bates says they had Judgment Day beat. If it wasn't for Dom, they'll do whatever it takes to get a title shot at Mania. And Aldis says, me and Pierce have been talking about the tag titles, and we have an announcement to share soon. Aldis is then distracted by a ruckus off camera. He sees LA Knight, still looking for AJ Styles. Knight's like, "Hey, do you know where AJ Styles is?" And Aldis is like, I told AJ not to be here after what happened at the chamber. And Knight says, oh, I'll find AJ at home if I have to. And there's nothing AJ or Aldis can do about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he going to be the latest to visit AJ Styles' abode?
Seemingly, he's going to knock on his door with that same chair in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Wendy, where's AJ?
Is he here? Nah.
Wendy's like, your friends always keep on showing up here. He's not my friend.
What if AJ's back on the trampoline?
Yeah. LA Knight goes back there. He's just bouncing.
Bouncing with chair in hand.
What chair in hand? Come get me. I'm in my power zone. It's trampoline.
Trampoline.
Watch, I can flip.
I'll do a backflip.
I'll do backflip.
After that, we had our main event, Austin Theory versus Randall Keith Orton. Of course, Orton gets the win here. Kevin Owens out in commentary. Kevin Owens is great. He just wanted Orton to do the belly to back on the announce table.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Kevin Owens is so much fun. So the finish here sees where Theory's looking for a draping DDT like Randy does, but instead Randy backdrops into the apron. Theory's looking for like a rolling drop kick or a flatliner or something. Orton counters it with RKO, gets the W. Waller gets in the ring and attacks Orton. Kevin Owens leaves commentary and lays into Waller. Theory blasts KO from behind. Owens fights him off, hits him with the stunner. Looks for one more on Waller. Waller escapes that, but then he eats an RKO from Randy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Orton and Kevin Owens, they're buddies now.
Kind of, yeah. Like Owens seemed kind of, hesitant, and Orton was like, "Come on, give me the fist bump," and he did, and they're like, "Oh." So, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, after that, we had on Saturday, Collision.
We can run through this real quick. I took more detailed notes than I really need to.
Yeah, I know. Like I had agreed to do Collision notes, and I forget every time now. So I
didn't assume they were going to be there when it's time to roll the show, so I just did them.
Well, remember my thing was I was going to have handwritten Collision notes.
Yeah,
but I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I barely watched this show, to be honest with you, because I'm like, friggin' Revolution is on Sunday. Like I'll watch this kind of like I kind of missed the. So there was no actual first match here. It was just Mark Briscoe.
They didn't actually declare who Buddy Matthews' opponent was, I don't believe, because Mark Briscoe comes out and just attacks him, and then tries to burn him with the pyro on the stage.
You think they're just going to be like a Mark Briscoe Malachi match on like Collision or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know what Malachi has to do to get a singles match on pay-per-view, but
yeah, like that's what I was hoping. Maybe do it at Density, but but that's like 6 weeks away.
6 weeks from now. So this, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could have Mark take on Buddy, Mark take on Brody, leading
like
to
2
Malachi.
Weeks. Yeah, you still
space it out and being get 4 out of it. I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah,
but like this whole segment, the intensity was good.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I like this. Is a nice little feud right here.
Yeah, something. It's something, especially something for Mark to do.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so you have rest security come out and stop Mark from pressing the button to shoot the pyro up after he lays Buddy's head like right on top of one of the pyro pots.
Yeesh, yeah.
And he's still holding the controller while security's trying to, keep him from doing it. And the rest of House of Black comes and helps Buddy off where the stage is.
Yeesh, that could have been bad.
That could have been terrible. After that, we had a promo from Swerve. This happened after Dynamite. He talked about he doesn't let his guard down too often, and he feels like he just paid for it. He says, "Swerve hung the hangman. It only feels right that you swerve." And he says, "I won't forget this." And then he says he's going to win at Revolution.
It's going to be the historical champion. Then we had Pentagon versus Brian Keith versus Dante Martin. This was for entry. This was to determine who is the All-Star, because this here was to get into the All-Star Breakfast Scramble. And it turns out Dante Martin is, in fact, the All-Star out of Penta, Brian Keith, and Dante Martin, because he wins this. Hits a frog splash on Brian Keith to get the win here. After that, we had a really awesome post-Dynamite promo from Hangman, where the cameraman's asking for clarification. He's like, "So Hangman, are you hurt?" And he's like, "Do I look hurt, dumbass? I'd rather die than have Swerve win. I'd rather die than not win the match myself. I had to do it. He's weakened. I had to do it." Awesome Hangman stuff.
It's fantastic. Then we had Mariah May taking on Angelica Risk. Mariah May wins this match pretty quickly. Running knee, Mayday. Tony Storm comes to the ring. Mariah May's like, oh, you finally watched my match. He wants a hug. Tony just walks right past her, grabs a mic, calls out Deanna. Deanna comes to the ring. And Tony at first seems like, oh, like we've made a horrible mistake here having this match. I value our friendship. It's been destroyed now. I love you. I love your abilities. And then she pivots, but there's only room for one of us. And as long as I live and breathe, it'll never be you. Deanna takes the mic and says, I hope you have a bidet. Because it'd be really hard wiping your ass after I break both your arms. Tony just says, well, goodbye, old friend. She puts some lipstick on and then kisses Deanna on the cheek. They start brawling. Deanna gets the upper hand, hits Mariah May with a pump kick, follows with a Storm Zero on Mariah.
Yeah, pretty good stuff here. They did the split screen color black and white thing too. After that, we had Austin Gunn and the Acclaimed versus the Dark Order.
Put him up, Steve.
Guns up. But, of course, Jay White is sort of Max Caster sort of at the end of the line here with Jay White just over it. So they're coming down and Jay White sort of puts his arm around Max Caster as he's trying to do the rap and he just stops rapping. He's like, what are you doing? Get away from me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a mess. But obviously the Bang Bang Scissor Gang get the win here because the Dark Order are losers.
Losing wrestlers, most definitely.
Well, losers, yeah.
Then we get a Willow, Statlander, and Stokely interview. So Lexi asks them, you going to change your tactics? They had a Revolution because they had that tag match against Julia and Sky Blue. And Stokely says, word of today is accountability. I'm sorry, because he cost Stat her match against Sky Blue recently. And then Willow says, we need to get on the same page because tomorrow's not about friendship, it's about revolution. So Julia, Sky, Stat, and I are going to kick your ass.
They have such good chemistry, these three.
They do. After that, we had a really long Wardlow Jericho segment. We don't really need to get too much into it.
This was not. Oh, wow. Santana's gone from AEW.
Yep.
That's not
saw
surprising.
that too.
This wasn't great. Wardlow's bit was okay. He's improving. I just can't get over, like we talked about this a little bit last week. I feel like they're not really maximizing like his potential, his strengths. Being in a suit, making facial gestures. Wardlow should be the strong, silent type. You know, a man of few words, not ranting and raving like a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And then Jericho comes out, which makes everything worse. And he kind of just no-sells everything and sort of There's nothing worse than a guy who sits up there when somebody else is delivering a promo and you don't sell what they're you know, you don't buy what they're selling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Wardlow's talking and Jericho's like, like, oh, this promo's crap. That's not a good look. It makes you look bored and it makes the guy on the mic look like an idiot. Yep. Like Jericho's been in the business for like 60 years. Why is he up there not selling the guy who's going to win the damn match? Jericho he also shits on the match. He says, I'm more than an all-star. I'm like a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just sort of buries the entire match.
It does. Now, if Jericho had prefaced Wardlow, seen your body of work, impressive work in the ring, yes, but you've lost your way a little bit or something like that. You put him over before you start insulting him. You know, find a way to put him over before you start chipping away at what he said. And Jericho just didn't do that. It was just like, oh, you know, I'm an 8-time champ. You're Jericho 8, Wardlow 0 because he ain't won shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Wardlow's like a 2-time TNT champion. You know, it's not like he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
maybe a 3-time TNT champ. I lost count. And so it's just bickering back and forth. Then Wardlow calls out Jericho, says, hey, come to the ring, we'll fight. Jericho's about to, but then Jericho gets laid out by Hobbs from behind.
What we've mentioned this, and AEW's strength is when they're telling stories in the ring. At their worst is when they have long-winded promos that aren't really structured and people don't want to sell them. That's when they're absolute worst. And somehow, some way, Jericho's usually involved in those type of promos.
I mean, that's the approach to wrestling he's used to. He was in WWE for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I guess maybe there was a joke about Jericho Appreciation Society being sports entertainers. That's Jericho, though, you know, and he's always done that in AEW. He had to a degree, he's got his own Jericho Island where he can still do his sports entertainment type stuff outside of, let's say he's not involved in stuff that's more booked how AEW successfully does it. But by and large, he's the one that focuses on the long-winded promos of the interviews.
Talky stuff, yeah.
To carry the stories as opposed to telling the stories in the ring.
And if you're going to do long-winded promos, like to a degree, sometimes that can work, but everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody's got to be selling everybody for the audience to buy into the story. When you're just up there talking and scoffing at the other guy who's like half your age and twice your size, who's, powerbomb symphonying everybody, who beat MJF, who is a 2-time or 3-time TNT champion, maybe put him over a bit more and don't scoff at him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It comes off as unprofessional, to be honest with you.
It does, especially when they're trying to rehabilitate Wardlow's standing in the company. Have Jericho be up there like, ain't one shit.
Yeah.
Beyond being factually inaccurate, it buries Wardlow's character.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah.
It does nothing for him. At least what they could have done is had Wardlow powerbomb Jericho and beat him in that scramble match. Didn't even get that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like everybody sort of, they're all in it and everything, but then they all notice that Wardlow has Jericho in powerbomb position. They're like, wait, shh.
So everybody just kind of looks at each other and nods, like, all right.
Yeah,
let's let Wardlow win this one.
Do it.
He's going to powerbomb Jericho.
Yeah,
have at it.
Get him again.
Have at it, Mike. They all start conducting the symphony together.
They all start doing this shit, yeah.
Wardlow's like, one more? All right, another one.
Yeah.
More?
They all
right.
start chanting one more time.
And like 15 power bombs later. Oh, man. Anyways, after that, we had a Serena Deeb interview, and she's going to be wrestling Mercedes Moné when Mercedes comes to AEW because she dubs herself the final boss.
Not that other guy.
Which will be spectacular. That'd be a really good match.
Serena Deeb's
fantastic
wrestler.
There, yeah. Mercedes, really fantastic wrestler. That'd be really good stuff.
Yeah. After that, we had Private Party versus Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. Of course, Private Party gets the win here because Sydal.
Need the help from Jeff Jarrett and crew, though.
Well, they wanted to recruit them, I think, for that match, that like massive 16-person match or whatever it was.
Did you see? I didn't watch that match, but I saw a clip of everybody on Jarrett's team doing the Fargo strut like in unison. It was pretty funny.
Oh, I didn't. I'll have to go back and watch that. I like Jarrett and his crew. They're great. We had a package for Kingston versus Danielson after that, and then Thunder Rosa versus Cassandra Golden. Rosa got the win with the submission here.
Yep. Another really quick match.
Yeah, and then we had a Young Bucks Darby Sting video package, followed by the main event. Go ahead and talk about this one because I watched about half of it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm watching the pay-per-view tomorrow.
Yeah, so it was Hook, Daniel Garcia, Trent and Orange Cassidy taking on Roddy, Brian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Christian. So towards the end, Orange is looking for a suicide dive. Roderick Strong catches him, hits him with the end of Heartache on the floor, and for like the last 3 minutes of the match, just has him in the stronghold on the floor. Which, go home math, I was like, oh, okay, Roddy's going to lose. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
In the ring, Nick Wayne blasts Trent from behind. Luchasaurus follows with a clothesline in the back to get the win for his team. So the heel team starts wrecking the babyface team. Luchasaurus looking for a choke slam on Garcia, but Daddy Magic gets in the ring to make the save. He eats the choke slam instead, and then Garcia goes after Christian, and they just end up brawling up the stage. It's just like mayhem to end the show.
Yeah.
That was Collision.
There is Collision. All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Also, if you're watching live on YouTube, if you want to ask a question, you don't have access to the Friendo Club setup right now, just give us a super chat. We'll answer your question.
Hey, also, we don't have a 250 likes yet, Steve, so I think 200.
I don't know why, but Bama does this noise every once in a while, just as a joke. She goes, bleh. And so today I joined in. She does, and I would go, bleh. And then Lacey does, and Bama, for whatever reason, says, Mom, no, not you. She plays us against each other sometimes.
That's interesting. So anyways, Steve, you said you were going to start wagging the finger if we don't get 250 likes. So now the floor is yours.
It's Monday. I'm in a good mood.
Oh,
I don't want to wag the finger.
But
what are we at?
We're not even 200.
We're not at 200? Oh, now we're at 203. Bang. Done.
No, we said 250. That was your stated goal.
Hey, man. Why aren't you liking this video? It's your density.
McFly.
I mean, your destiny. I mean, your dynasty. Come on, do the thing.
Justin Sider here says, who becomes champion AEW first, Mercedes or Will Ospreay?
Mercedes.
Yeah, probably.
Mercedes.
Probably.
AJ Otani says, if you could pick the outfit for a match type, what would it be?
For who to
He
wear?
says,
For me?
I don't know. He says, mine would be overalls and TLC. If you could pick the outfit for a match type, so overalls and TLC match, what kind of outfit would go for a gauntlet match? I don't know where this is. I don't know what the genesis of this
Well, if it's a gauntlet match, you take it literally, get some old gauntlets.
Okay, there you go. It's like Street Fighter's jeans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get some suit of armor gauntlets. EV here says, shout out to Nyla Rose. Send some supplies to my wife's school and classroom out of her own pocket. Thank you, Nyla Rose. That's super cool.
That's neat. That's cool.
That's super cool.
Oh, wow. Your boy says, in a perfect world, what other wrestling legends would have you have liked to have seen get the AEW Sting treatment?
Sid.
That's good. Luger. But I don't know, he's in the wheelchair. I don't know if
I
he
don't
can
know
do all
if
that.
I could do that. Yeah.
Buff Bagwell. The legendary career of Buff Bagwell.
I mean, he could have had one last runs with Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs looks phenomenal. He looks in great
Scotty
shape.
Riggs does look great. He does look great.
Arches B. Cray says, what's your most anticipated Will Ospreay matchup? I think it's probably Swerve.
Swerve and Danielson.
Yeah.
Probably.
John, in Alistair voice.
John.
Says, just like how Kenny Omega's arsenal has a lot of running knees and Finn Balor has drop kicks and stomps, which move would you feature prominently in your arsenal?
You know what it is, Steve.
Kawada kicks or
kicks and machine gun chops.
Yeah, mine definitely not. Mine would be the Tongaloa. And do it like you with a smile on my face.
Oh, it was so bad. So bad. Blake Whitehouse here says, now that Io has had the title for over 200 days, would you say her reign has been good, bad, or meh?
Good.
It's been good. I still feel like she's missing that one reign-defining feud, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
And she might get that with Bayley, but then it'll probably lead her to lose the belt. But still. Lord Ziffer here asked, who is the ideal first opponent for Pac when he returns, and why is it Ospreay?
Oh, you bastard.
Oh, that'll be great.
Breton versus Breton. I like it. That's good. J Mart here says, yeah, can we get some of this in the Pac match, Ospreay? Since I decided against the Valentine's Day AEW show in Austin, heading down to San Antonio for Raw tonight, hoping for a good show. Oh, that'll be a good one. They got Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre again, I think.
Oh.
I saw that on the website.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Let's see here. Patrick Kennedy says, as saw this week on SmackDown, The Rock threw up the one with the damn thumb out again, but then put it away. What does that mean? Is that he was sending a sign to Cody?
Caught. Yeah.
With this. Cody, when he won the Rumble both times, he does this, and then shout out to Kenny. So The Rock's putting that up.
Yeah.
And then Heyman notices it, so then whoop, it's got to tuck that thumb in to make it look like all the other ones.
Here's what I think. The L right here, that's the sign for Tonga Loa to show up. And it does this. The thing that I love about that most, that shit was from like a year ago or something.
I know.
It was from a long time ago.
Fucking poor Okada had to sell that bullshit, man. Did you see him? He's like, ugh.
Yeah, I know.
When the fingertips are grazing him.
He's like, we're killing the business right now, dude.
I know. Gosh, that was so bad.
Jose Alaguna here says, do you think The Rock's L is a gun, the same gun Cody used after the Rumble?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Or it's L for Loa.
Yeah. Luis, sorry, you have more to add?
No, go ahead.
Luis here says, how would they turn Paul Heyman's induction into part of the story? It would. I'll say this. They'll probably wait on inducting The Rock, but if they inducted The Rock, imagine. He owns everything involving The Rock IP.
He owns it all.
He's on the board of directors plus a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like, adding the Hall of Famer on top of all of that, he's obviously the boss.
Well, it could be the kind of thing where, they're in the room and Roman speaks up and then Rock says, hey, who in here is a Hall of Fame? The Rock says,
thank you.
The Rock says, who in here is a Hall of Famer? And he gets to raise his hand with the L for Loa. And then Heyman is like, oh, God, I have to raise my hand because I'm a Hall of Famer now, and Roman can't raise his hand.
And Roman's just...
You could see the hair turn gray on his, on his beard.
It's great. Mr. Meowgi here says, can I get a birthday shout-out from Steven Larson? Not Steve and Larson, Steven Larson.
I don't know who that person is. We are two separate individuals, but happy birthday regardless.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.